watermelon. My mouth is watering just thinking about that sweet flavor. It's like the flavor of summer. I've never tried planting watermelon before because I've heard it can be difficult to grow if you don't have a long enough summer. And also I've heard the vines can really take over. But Danielle tells me she has some tricks to avoid both of those scenarios. So I'm curious to see what those are.
Hey Sarah.
Hey Danielle.
So the first thing we got to talk about is just because we don't live in the deep south, we can still grow watermelons, but it's all about picking the right variety.
Really? So not every watermelon requires 4 months of summer?
Nope, I actually have a couple of varieties right here that'll produce fruit in a relatively short amount of time. The first is Petite yellow watermelon. It's an icebox variety, which means that it produces smaller, bowling ball sized fruit that will fit in the crisper drawer or icebox in the fridge. This variety produces harvestable fruit in as little as 65 days. The second variety is Moon and Stars, which will produce fruit in 85 to 90 days, still earlier than most other watermelon varieties. The cool thing about this standard size melon is that the skin has random yellow markings on it that resemble the moon and the stars. So I think the perfect spot to put the Moon and Stars watermelon is on a hill right in the middle of this bed because the vines can get up to 8, maybe even 12 feet long.
Whoa, 12 feet long?
Yeah, exactly. So don't worry, you'll be able to kind of pile the vines back up into one area, or if a few rogue ones go out too far, you can nip them back a little bit. But we definitely need this whole space.
So we start by making a hill, right? So there's good drainage?
Exactly. The hill should be at least 12 inches in diameter and about 4 to 5 inches high. Then you'll want to plant 6 seeds about a ½ an inch deep at the top of each hill. After the seedlings sprout and put on their first few sets of leaves, you'll pluck out all but the healthiest looking one.
So why do you have me plant 6 seeds if I pull all of them out except one?
Well, watermelon seeds don't germinate reliably, and it would really be a bummer if you planted only 2 seeds and neither one of them came up.
So how many watermelon am I going to get out of that one plant?
You usually get about 6 watermelons max, maybe 3 or 4 if you're lucky because we have such a short season. But if you have the space in your garden, you can do multiple hills as long as you space them out about 12 feet apiece.
Well, it sounds like this bed is full then with this hill. So where are we going to plant the yellow watermelon?
I've got an idea for that. Let's go over to the fence. Okay, Sarah, so I think this will be the perfect spot for our next watermelon.
Really? Outside of the bed?
Yeah, so go get your shovel. I promise it'll be worth our while.
Well, I love the idea of going vertical to save space in the garden.
I know, and I've almost got the hole dug where we're gonna place the hill, but can you give me a hand with the trellis?
Yeah, sure.
So we're just gonna, the natural curvature kind of go over into here. For smaller icebox varieties of watermelon, you can train the plants up a trellis. This method doesn't work for a variety that produces 25-pound behemoth fruits because the weight of the melons will pull down the vines and the trellis. But the Petite yellow variety is the perfect candidate. We're going to improvise and attach a heavy gauge chicken wire to Sarah's split rail fence so the plants have something sturdy to climb. We've already dug a hole, so here's where we go from here. Yeah, I would mix some soil in just because the compost is a little wet.
How's that looking?
That looks perfecto.
Okay, so let me guess. We plant 6 seeds in the hill just like for the moon and stars?
That's exactly right. And as the watermelons start to grow, you're gonna wanna keep flopping them up onto the trellis, and you're gonna have to tie them to the trellis with some cloth strips or, you know, our favorite pantyhose, because the watermelons actually don't naturally climb on their own. You have to give them a little leg up.
So when the melons develop though, won't they pull down the trellis or even break the vines because of their weight?
No, don't worry about that. I'm gonna be back in a couple of weeks and we're gonna create watermelon hammocks.
Watermelon hammocks? You gardening people are insane.
Yeah, we kinda are.